What is happening, Beat Hustlers? Matthew Anderson from BeatInfluence.com here. And in today's video here, guys, I want to really break down a question that I actually got from email just regarding some podcasting, right? So I'm actually going to read you guys out the email here and everything. It's actually from someone I used to go to school with that's actually been a fan of the show and other things like that, and it's more or less a mutual friend. He reaches out and says, it's from Nevin. He reaches out and says, "Hey, Matt, hope everything is going well and great for you. He met with a mutual friend a couple weeks ago, and he wanted to reach out and see if I could potentially help him out with some podcasting advice. He's apparently working with a client right now. He designed a website and some social media content for a place in Edmonton. And then essentially in December, they did a vlog series that went really pretty well. He would like to build on that and establishing a setup for the client." Podcasting setup for the client so they could easily record their thoughts or blogs in audio formats in decent quality without a lot of hassle or editing. And then he goes on and says he's thinking about getting a soundboard or something like that, right? And then he also says then those podcasts would be available online and automatically get distributed through social channels that he's built. So then he asks, is there any advice on hardware or software that can easily assist in making this all happen? I want the client to basically be able to go into the podcasting setup area and just sit down and crush it out quickly, no hassle out. Right? So thanks to Nevin for reaching out. Thanks for the question and everything like that. It's actually a really good question because podcasting is one of those things that does take quite a bit of time, right? And I think, whenever people think about getting involved in podcasting itself, they think that it requires a lot of work, and it does, right? It requires a lot of work when you're first getting started, and it requires a lot of work to keep up running, keep it organized, keep facilitating those podcasts and everything else, the editing and stuff like that. So, Nevin, in regards to your hardware and software thing, right? So, what kind of hardware and software are you looking for? So, a couple different ideas I had about this. One of my first things that came to mind when I thought about this was, what I would challenge and really want to think about from the client's perspective is, what is really the goal of the podcast, right? What is really the goal? And whatever that goal is, kind of bring that back in today's terms, and what does that mean in terms of what kind of content are we producing, right? So is it a one-on-one podcast? Is it a one person sitting down in front of a mic talking about their thoughts and whatnot? Is it a collaborative work? So is there going to be guests on the show itself? Is there going to be 2-3 people hooked up? Those are all considerations into what you have to think about when you're getting your hardware set up, right? Because if you're going to be setting up a podcast, you want it to be future oriented. You want to be able to have the proper equipment that's going to be able to facilitate your podcast today, but that's going to allow you to grow for the future. I think that's really important to consider, right? So, and I think you totally agree with me on that, Nevin. So with that in mind, I think it's important to understand what is the goal for the podcast. So that's one thing I'd actually go back to your clients and ask, what is really our goal? What are we really trying to seek out of this first? And then you can take a step back and then kind of find out what kind of hardware and whatnot you want to get, right? So the nice thing with podcasting, Nevin, is that once you get the whole podcasting set up, like in terms of the software integrated onto your computer, you get it hosted, and you get all the equipment set up physically, I mean, it's pretty simple. You can basically just have a studio room, walk down into the room, open up the software, and start recording as long as everything's hooked up properly, right? So podcasting setups are one of those things that it takes a lot of time to get research done on different microphones that you might want to get considering. So this one right here, this is actually my microphone. It's an XLR microphone. There's two major mics that you can basically buy. There's an XLR or a USB, for example, right? So a USB mic just basically plugs into the USB port of your computer. An XLR mic gets hooked up to an audio interface, right? It gets hooked up to an audio interface, and that audio interface then goes digitally plugged into USB on the computer, right? So what that allows you to do is essentially, by plugging in an audio interface, I can hook up, one microphone for myself. I can hook up a microphone for the guest, per se, right? So it allows a little bit more customization and allows to get a little bit better sound quality when you're producing a show. So that's one thing I would actually ask the clients is, A, what is the goal for the podcast and show, and then 2, what does that look for in terms of content today that needs to be produced? Is there going to be a guest that's coming on the show? If it's one person, then you might just want to get them like a USB mic and just plug it in. That might be able to just do it. Like I know, like a Blue Snowball or Blue Yeti or something like that. That it would actually facilitate those. It facilitate it for fairly cheap, and you'd be able to get that podcasting hardware all set up. But if you're looking to spend a little bit more money for the clients, get a really good quality sound. Like mine here, my microphone, it's an XLR. It's a Samson CO1 condenser microphone. It's really great. One thing that I would recommend if you're looking to get an XLR mic is to get these pop filters, right? So pop filters and windscreens are also called. So basically when I'm speaking to the mic, I'm always speaking like this. So basically it's going to break out any bad quality, any way that I maybe mispronunciate my words or anything like that. This is going to really help prevent that. So you wouldn't probably hear some of that kind of language through this, right? It's going to be able to, you're going to get a much better, clearer voice going through a pop filter. And this one right here does the exact same thing. Actually, I'll just show you. I can actually just slide this off. So this is what the mic actually looks like, right? And I just slide this on. This just gives you a little bit extra better sound quality, right? So little things like this make a big difference in your production. And it's something that I would highly recommend. So if you're looking to get an XLR mic, do some research on that. You will need like an audio interface. I have the Scarlett 2i2 device. And essentially how it works is it allows me to hook up this mic, and I can actually hook up another microphone itself into the Scarlett 2i2, open up my recording software, and automatically get this audio separated from my other microphone. Another great thing with having a Scarlett 2i2 and an audio interface is that if I ever want to record an episode with someone that's like on the other side of the world and I'm going to use my phone to do that, I can actually get an extension that's going to go from XLR to USB or to audio headphone jack. And so every phone today actually has a headphone jack built into it already, right? So I can actually just plug it in. I'll just show you right down there. Plug it in, and then go set an XLR component into the audio interface, and that allows me to record via phone, as long as my software and everything's all integrated itself, right? So, like I said, Nevin, the first thing I would do is I go back to the client and talk to them about, what is the goal for the show? What is the goal for a show? If it's just putting on quality content with 1 or 2 people, a USB might be able to do it. I always recommend facilitate your podcast going on to the future. Look at it as an investment that you're going to be building on. And if you put a little bit of money in the beginning, it's definitely going to pay off in the beginning too, right? You're going to be able to get a much better sound quality. You're going to be able to promote your show a little bit better. People will start saying, "Hey man, I listened to your show. It sounds really great. I love it." And you're going to spend less time in the editing phases too, right? So those are some things I would consider about. Think about what the goals are. Look into different microphones itself. I would definitely recommend getting an XLR and an audio interface. Like I mentioned, I have the Scarlett 2i2 device. So yeah, I definitely recommend doing that itself. And then in regards to software itself, one of the best solutions I recommend to people, and it's probably I don't even know how else to say this, it's what all the pros use, and what they use is basically Audacity, right? So Audacity is basically a recording software that you can get on Mac, Windows, any device really, I guess, and it's just basically a software that you just install on your computer. As long as your equipment is hooked up to it properly, you just have to toggle it on, toggle on your equipment for what you're using for your recording device, and it will be able to record through there, right? So I would definitely just recommend Audacity. There's other programs out there that, like the Adobe one has one. There's lots. There's lots of different recording software. You could just Google it, go podcast recording softwares, and there'll be lots that'll come up. So you could definitely do that. But I would just recommend Audacity. Audacity's the go-to for everybody. It's free, and I think that's going to be a really good way to pitch to your clients, right? Hey, we're going to be able to produce a really good quality show. You can edit everything itself in Audacity, export it to an MP3 file as well, and then you can take that, put it on iTunes, and send it off, right? So I hope this answers your question, Evan. I know it's kind of been I know it's been kind of a little bit all over the place, but I kind of really want to just break it down one more time. Go back to your client, ask what your goals are for the show. How many people are going to be recording on the show? How many people are going to be involved in it? Just 1, 2 people. Then you know where to go with the equipment wise, right? Once you know the equipment, you can start thinking to yourself, do I need a USB, XLR? My personal suggestion, XLR, get the Scarlett 2i2. Then finally, in regards to software itself, I would definitely just recommend going with Audacity. It's what all the pros use. It's free. It's, you can't beat free. And you can edit everything through Audacity itself. Along with that, being able to edit through Audacity, you can actually export to an MP3 file through there. And you're just going to get a lot of bang for your buck. You're going to be able to get a lot of bang out of your buck compared to paying for like a software for like $20-$30 a month, right? So I would definitely propose that to your clients. Hopefully that answers your question, Evan, and anybody else that's out there. So thanks, guys, for listening to this video today. I hope this provides a pretty good insight to Nevin's problem here and everything. If Nevin, if this didn't really quite answer it, I hope it did. But if it didn't, message me on Facebook or email me back. And I hope this answers your question. If you guys have any more other questions regarding podcasting, regarding, equipment, software, whatever the case is, I want you to leave a comment down below. Leave a comment and I'll actually get back to you. And then maybe I'll make another video similar to this one regarding a problem that you might be having. Alright, guys, so thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.